So you had mentioned something this week that it was in line. I watched David Letterman talks to Kim Kardashian. So he has this Netflix thing where he gets people, and she came on. And the overwhelming feeling that I had, that I try to remind myself of often, and this is a fantastic interview for it, is that you do not want Kim Kardashian's life for a number of reasons. One, she just had some tragedy. I mean, her dad died when she was young, right? She had the O.J. Simpson thing, which pit her divorced father and her divorced mother. If people don't know, Kim Kardashian's father was best friends with O.J. Simpson, and her mother was best friends with Nicole Brown. And Kim Kardashian's father became a lawyer for O.J. Simpson while her mother was convinced that he'd killed her best friend. And so she's going back and forth between these families as they just hate each other. She's got paparazzi before the age of 16, like trying to figure out what's going on with the Kardashians. She's just got all this other stuff. She discovered Caitlyn Jenner, I guess Bruce Jenner at the time, dressing like a woman, and then was like sworn to secrecy, because if her mom had found out, then that would ruin everything. So she had to keep this secret and
How
didn't
old
know.
was she?
She at the time, I would guess, was at home. Well, not that old, like around college age.
Got it.
And was just, didn't know what it was. Google was just starting, was looking up, like, why would this happen? And then was robbed, tied up in Paris. And the way that happened is Kanye bought her a multi-million-dollar ring. These people had been tailing her for 2 or 3 years, saw that she had the ring in Paris, and planned everything out, came, tied her up. She thought she was going to be raped or killed, left her in the bathtub in her robe, just completely tied as they jacked all the jewelry. And today, she can't sleep without 6 bodyguards in somewhere nearby. And it's just like, man, you do not want what she has.
Yeah.
like all of this aspirational be like that. I'm not saying she's a bad person. I'm just saying that's like a rough deal.
Yeah. Well, dude, so I mean, it's amazing that you watched this at the same time that I was watching. I watched The Last Dance. Highly recommend it. I know I'm late to the party on that, but it's a Netflix documentary about Michael Jordan. And some people might listen to you and say, well, yeah, obviously no one wants to be Kim Kardashian. Like, it's fun to watch, but like that's not who you aspire to be. But Michael Jordan had "Be like Mike." That was the catchphrase. Everyone wanted to be like Mike. That's why they wore Air Jordans. And this documentary catches him at one point. They knock on his hotel door. He opens the door. He's like, oh, come on, guys, just give me a break. Leave me alone. They're like, oh, like now's the only time you're free. To make it succinct, he basically says, this is the best part of my day until you guys showed up. I'm alone in a hotel room, smoking a cigar and drinking a beer. And it's the highlight of my day. And this is the most rich, famous, successful night. He goes, after I leave this hotel, I will be swarmed by questions, paparazzi. I will not have a single piece of any time to myself. Kids will feel completely destroyed if I don't stop and talk to every single one of them. And he said, it's awful. And by the way, then I'm going to get to the basketball court and I'm going to have to focus harder than any of you have ever focused on anything because I'm trying to be the best in the world. And he straight up says at one point, like, no one wants to be like me. People say all the time, like, oh, I wish I could be like you for a day. It's like, you wouldn't want to be me for a year. Just straight up. And I thought that's just so interesting because you see Bieber has said the same thing. You were seeing it in the Kim thing. The number one job, at least from something I read, that teenagers want these days is to be an influencer, which is to say to be famous without really providing much. Like if you want to be a famous inventor, God bless you. You know what I mean? Like Edison, Tesla, we know their names because they contributed to the world in a society changing way. But if you want to be an influencer, if that's what you're ticking at 16, like you're not really focused on generating value. You just want to be famous. All the famous people that you talk to will tell you this is a terrible thing. This is way worse than just being a normal person. And I just thought it was interesting because you see it. You just see him. You don't often get these behind the scenes looks. I wouldn't want to be alone in a hotel room drinking a beer by myself. That's not the highlight. It would not be the highlight of my day. You know what I mean?
Which means that you probably had a better day than he did.
Yes. Regularly. He has the highest highs, holding the championship trophy, crying from joy. But those tears of joy are pent up over a year of making sacrifices in his personal life and his professional life.
And everyone says being an asshole, being just a ruthless Steve Jobs, same way. Like you don't Jordan, get great without misery.
And that's what he's saying. He's saying people can say I was a bully, but I brought the best out of them. He doesn't say he wasn't a bully. He's just like, that's how we got to 6. I brought the best out of not just myself, but my teammates. It's like, that's true. it doesn't look like a pleasant experience. You know what I mean? And that's why he retired twice in his prime. It's because he was just burning out.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was interesting because certainly many more people would opt for more fame in their life than less as a percentage of the population. And it's just a bad goal. It looks
of the people that got there, I don't know. I mean, I've heard Will Smith be like, I like being famous. He's one of the few. But I think of Russell Brand, who took a huge step back. I think of John Mayer, who took a huge step back. It just seems to be consistent that when you actually get there, you can't stay there for long without becoming completely disenchanted. Now, the people that I think, weirdly enough, sometimes struggle the most are the people that never break through and are convinced, it's kind of a nice place to be, convinced that the next thing will finally bring it to you. The wannabe reality TV stars, that are constantly trying to get there. It's an exciting place to be. But even as someone, you mentioned a couple of the things, having people want to ask you questions. I have never been anywhere near the level of fame that people were talking about, but I've been at events where people want to talk to you. And it's interesting because there was a point in my life where I wanted nothing more than for people to ask me questions about myself. But when I'm at these events, I want nothing less than for people to ask me questions about myself. Like, talk about you. Like, no. Please. I'm so bored of myself at this point. And I think that it's funny because that Goldilocks zone is called hanging out with your friends and family. Yep. and whatever it is that you think strangers are going to bring to you.
Well, dude,
it doesn't help.
That ties into another thing I wanted to talk about today. It's cliche, but I'm just seeing all this stuff in real time from different areas of my life. We watched the UFC. Khabib, Nurmagomedov, best lightweight ever, maybe the best UFC fighter ever. His dad passed away this year. He's absolutely in his prime, undefeated, just an absolute beast. He wins his UFC fight, I guess, spoilers, guys, and he cries harder than I have cried since I was a child.
And this guy is known for being literally wrestling bears as a child. He is like, but beyond badass, macho. Like you wouldn't expect tears from this particular guy.
No, he cries so hard. And then I go to watch The Last Dance 2 days later. There's a scene, Michael Jordan's dad passes away. He wins the championship and he goes into everyone's celebrating. He goes in the locker room alone and he sobs like harder than I have ever seen an adult male cry in real life. You know what I mean? And of course, because we're savages, like everyone runs in and points cameras at him and someone just puts a towel over his head to give him some privacy. And then I think about Kobe when he won the championship and his dad didn't come to the game and how he looks so sad. It's like, man, all these people are at the absolute top of their profession. They're famous, they're rich, and they really, really just seem to care more about their dads than about any of it. And
Habib retired. And he said, I'm not coming back without my dad.
Yes.
He said, everyone out there, spend time with your parents. You don't know when they're going away. And I'm going to go spend time with my mom because I don't know how much longer we have together. And I'm not going to fight anymore. And he absolutely, for those of you who don't know, is or could have been the undisputed greatest of all time.
With 2 more fights.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what to do with it, but it seems like we, as a society and as individuals, we orient on the wrong stuff. It seems like the more oriented we are on fame or even wealth or high level of success appears to be from the people at the top detrimental relative to just focusing on close familial relationships and close friendships. But my thing that I was trying to figure out, and I have no answer to, is like, how do you convince people to pursue that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you get 50% of teenagers to go, my goal when I grow up is to have a close relationship with my family and friends instead of wanting to be influencers?
I think whatever you can do to raise awareness, and it's why they call it waking up when you're quote enlightened. But I think there's processes of waking up. And so one of the things we've talked about is like the prediction spreadsheet where you have the list of things you're going to do and you predict how happy they'll make you. That's one codified way to do it. But every kid technically has the data that they need about Instagram in the sense that they've had a photo that got them a lot of likes. And if they paid close attention, they could see that it did nothing for them.
Yeah.
It gave them momentary spike and then set the bar of likes that is necessary.
Mostly just creates a hunger to...
If you pay attention...
To do it again. It
to how
these... like a weird...
Yeah. If you pay attention closely to how the events in your life make you feel, you have all the data you need. The problem is that people don't pay careful or close attention to that stuff. It's a rare person that has never had some of the success that they desire. What is even more rare is a person that sees that oh wow, like this isn't working. You know, that bit part that I got to be an actor didn't make me better. And then when I got that movie in the film, the role in the film as the secondary, that didn't make me feel much better. And then like that's what Jim Carrey says. I wish you could all have it all.
Yeah.
So that you could realize that it doesn't.
No, I think the only exception would be if you're like Hugh Jackman and you love acting. And I know he loves acting because when he was the biggest movie star in the world, he went to do plays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's like, hey guys, like I know I'm Wolverine and I could do any role I want in the world. I could go get anything. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go sing on a stage.
I want to sing
in front of 500 people.
Yeah.
And see you guys in a couple years when the next Wolverine comes out. And it's like, that's a guy that likes acting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He tells the funny story of he has to pee.
Yeah.
You told me this.
Yeah,
and he's missing it. Everybody's looking at him. He's got this song and it's got a high note towards the end. And he's just blown the whole song because if you squeeze to get the power that you need, you will pee yourself in this thing. And so he's getting to the end and everybody's just looking at him like, what the hell happened to you?
You sound
and
terrible.
he's like, screw it. He just lets it rip for the big note at the end. Completely pisses himself to rousing applause.
Yep. That's love of the game, man.
That's a guy who wants to be out there singing.
Yeah.
You know?
No, yeah, but it's I don't have a strong takeaway. I guess the reason I'm sharing is just in my own life. I was like, all right, like this is the lesson is for me, really, you know, and I'm gonna try to do that. I'm gonna try to focus on my family and friends.
Yeah. Well, and there's the hierarchy, which is true. I think that there's a degree. We talk about the two mountains, and this isn't to say that look, if you're starting at the beginning of your career or your life, I think achievement and distinguishing yourself and all that stuff is totally appropriate. Get some praise, get some acknowledgement from your peers, get some money, but it really does like just peter off very quick. And the continued pursuit will make you miserable after. And you can figure out what that is with social media followers, cash, prestige, etc. But it's not a high bar.
And this is obviously this isn't a novel thought. It's very cliche, but it just got hammered home to me watching Khabib break down and cry, and then 2 days later watching Jordan win a championship and break down and cry. And just go, these guys they fucking traded all for their dads.
You're luckier than they are, which is the hard thing to wrap your head around is everybody sitting there that has a relationship with people, like take your father in this case. You're luckier than that, which is crazy.
I promise Habib would go back to being completely unknown and hand back all the belts to bring his dad back for a handful of years.
Yeah, no, made it obvious.
And that was all. I was like, okay, cool. Because dude, to be clear, like I'm human. I orient towards views. I orient towards money. Like, I guess that's the reason that it was impactful to me is because it's a reminder to myself. Like, oh yeah, the best thing I can do is call home more often.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.